Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thank you guys for coming back.
Welcome back.
So we took a little bit of a break over the holidays, but we are hitting 2022
Back
pretty
at
hard. We had our annual retreat a few weeks ago, which was super successful. A lot of fun there, a lot of learning and growing, which is great. But yeah, we're happy to be back. This podcast today is going to be all about if you want to be a successful company, you must act like a successful company, right? We hear a lot of guys coming in, well, I'm not big enough to do that. I don't need a software. I'm just a one-man show. Why would I need to do that? I'm not there yet.
We also hear from guys that I've been doing this for a long time and I just can't get over the hump. I can't get to the next level.
Yeah.
I do good, but I can't grow. I'm on this hamster wheel and I'm just stuck in the same space.
Yeah. And we say, okay, great. Are you doing this, and this yet? No, I'm not. I'll do that when I get bigger. Okay, well, you're not going to get bigger until you start laying out what bigger companies do, right? So it's this mindset of I'll do that later when I get there versus I'm going to be proactive and do it now. So when I get there, I've got the foundation.
When I become successful, I'll implement these things.
Yes. Once I build a house, I'll put a basement on it. That's not how it works, right? And so it's figuring out, understanding what should I be doing now at whatever stage I'm at to be able to lay that foundation for the next stage that I'm trying to grow into.
And a way to know that information is look at successful companies,
Yeah.
whether it's a contracting company or just Amazon or whoever, right?
Yeah.
Why are they successful? It's because they have kind of three major things in play.
Yep.
They have processes for the way that they do things. They have a presentation, the way that they want to present who they are to their client, kind of customer service type stuff. And they have proper financials.
Yep.
They have a deep dive on keeping track of their numbers, where they're spending money, where they're receiving money, what those are tied to, so that they can make decisions and know where to grow and know different places and things that they need to do with their money.
The whole reason you have a company at the end of the day is to fund your life, to grow, to fund your children, and hopefully your children's life and livelihood are funded through this. And if you don't know where your money's going, where it's coming from, who's paying what, who's owed what, and have that organized, you are not making money most likely.
Right.
And you don't have a way to control that, view it, and then tinker with the systems that you've got in place to ensure that you're profit.
Right.
You know, the way that we teach and how our general contracting company works is I could tell you the first week of every month of what happened down to the penny last month, where we're losing money, where we're getting money. And I'm not looking at that stuff all the time. Our general manager is doing that. But when we do a monthly, let's sit down and look at the numbers, it's all spelled out very easily for us to say, okay, we're really leaning towards this. We're really losing money here. Why is this client continuously, month over month, making us hit our 50% of the profit that we thought we were going to be making? Maybe we need to say no to that client moving forward, right?
And all the way down to smaller details.
Yeah.
We spent $200-$400 more than normal on office supplies, office stuff, things for the office. Why is that? And we can dive into it and be like, oh yeah, that's right. We had a new hire, so there was some extra cost to it. Or we can dial in on those things and be able to make decisions and choose to say, let's figure out why we've spent more on that. Can we save that money, or is that just a new expense? That's the way it's going to be. So it's really important to be able to make the decisions in your company and also know your bottom line money.
Yeah.
Your bottom line money is directly related to what you make on your job site, so labor and materials that you spend, and the subtraction out of that, the cost to do business. So your lights, your cars, your trucks, your insurance,
rent.
all of that stuff is what gets you to the bottom line of the actual money that you have to fund your life.
Yeah. There's a book I love called Profit First. I talk about it all the time. But in that book, they have a really good analogy of toothpaste where, if you got a ton of toothpaste, you're just kind of squirting it all over your toothbrush. Where if you have all of your toothpaste spent, you know
Right.
where everything's
Got it
going.
rolled up.
It's
really.
all rolled up, and there's this much actual profit because you can see it.
Yeah.
You're going to be a lot more planned on how you use it and not as wasteful.
Right.
And it's the same thing with knowing your numbers. If I know where everything's going, I might plan to spend this money towards putting it as my draw as an owner.
Right.
But I don't have enough of that if I'm just spending it all over the place and I don't know where it is. Or maybe I'm taking way too much as an owner because we're not making that much as a company, right? You don't know any of that stuff without seeing it. So as we've dove into the three things, number one that we're talking about is you got to have your financials in order. Your office management, you have to spend time every week working on your office organization.
Right. And you don't have to have a financial software like a QuickBooks or whatever to do that. But that's the recommendation because that's what it does. That's what it's there for. And it makes things a lot simpler. If you want to keep track of that on your own ledger and on pieces of paper, you can do that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you just need to make sure that you are analyzing your numbers and making sure that you know and understand where your money is being used, is there waste, and being able to make decisions based off of that information.
I think one of the common threads when we're coaching is when someone says, when we say, well, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you try to start doing it this way? And we always get, well, this other way works fine for me. And it says, that's great. All the stuff on your job site is in your brain. And so you can organize your brain and understand what's going on the job site. And that does work for you.
Right.
Well, that worked for you in 3 years when you've got 3 project managers running crews. And you're trusting that dude you hired fresh out of college that's making $35,000 a year assisting as a project manager, you think he's got the brain capacity you do to manage all that?
Or the desire to dive deep into numbers for the point of protecting the company.
Yep.
He's just trying to get a paycheck.
Yep.
You know, which is interesting. I think that kind of leads into one of the other categories, which is processes.
Yep.
So why are processes a big part of if I want to become a successful company, I need to act like one and have processes. Why is that important?
I think we need to back up to what successful company means.
Don't tell me to back up. That's
well, I'm saying to answer that, I think it starts by saying, what is a successful company?
Correct. Yeah.
What's the baseline
right.
of what we're talking about? Because process-wise, if my goal is for me to be swinging a hammer, running my 3 different crews, and I'm doing 1 to 2 jobs at a time, 3 to 4 jobs at a time, I'm running back and forth, and that's all success to me looks like.
Yep.
You don't need processes, right?
Correct.
You are the process. You are the person running everything.
That's a good point.
If success to you is one day I want to either sell this company and cash out, I want to pass this on to a kid or to the guy running it and be able to step out of the company and be taking money as a retiree from this company and be able to sit on a beach somewhere and be getting $100K a year deposited in my account while someone's running the company. If that's success to you, then processes are the only way to get there.
Right.
Whatever success looks like for you. I want to go to 4 cities. I want to just stay here and just be doing $5 million a year. I want to be able to get to $40 million a year. Any success beyond, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm trading my time for money. If success for you is over that, is beyond trading your time for money, then the only way to get there is processes.
Right.
Now, the hard part is I'm a one-man show. Okay, I got to have processes to become a 3-man show. To be able to hire my project managers, I got to have that. But I'm not there yet. I don't when I start hiring someone, I'm going to let them know my process and let them do what I do. And the problem is there is no amount of work that you can do in front of someone to properly implement every single decision made that they're going to make out there. So they become your assistant. That hire is now just maybe I'm taking on more jobs, but they're assisting me. So when we talk about processes, one of the steps in our 260-something steps is writing out every single process that you do. Right. And so in building a process, what you're doing is saying, this is how we make decisions. This is who handles what. When this comes your way, this is how you do it. You're approved to make a decision up to this amount. There's a bunch of different things we do in process writing. But for the most part, it's every client coming in the front door, email, website, however they come to you, gets treated this way. They get this information. Then we go to this. We do our desk estimate. Then we go to this. It's our site estimate. Then we go to this, and we're trying to close the deal. We have them in the office. All right, you have every step of your process written down.
Right.
I make my very first hire, and I say, okay, here is how I do things around here. We do this, and now I've got a written down platform to judge if they're successful or not,
right,
using this. And so a lot of guys want to do that when they're ready to hire, and when you're ready to hire, it's too late.
Right.
You don't have exactly written down what's going on.
Well, and I think there's a couple things about that. I think that if you don't have those things written out, then when you hire somebody and bring them in, like you said, inevitably they kind of become your assistant. But one of the other byproducts of that is their ideas of customer service, their experience in the way that things should be done are the way that they're going to default, because that's their experience. Even if they're following you and you're saying, hey, do as I do and all of that stuff, they're still going to default back to, this is the way I've always done it. This is how there's no reason to communicate with the client on that thing. It's fine. They don't need to know this, and I'm just going to run with it. And so the reason for having those things written down in those processes is it is, like we say many, many times, it is the explanation of the secret sauce that makes you who you are and makes your clients want to come back to you. It's the thing that makes your clients at the end of the job feel like they want to give you a hug. Because like, God, this was so great. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Those are the things that you want to have a written down process, so that when you bring somebody else in, they're not changing the way that the customer experiences your company because they're bringing in their own thing. They're coming in and running your processes, which are delivering this specific front-facing to the client experience. That's why it's really important. You've got to have that. When you think about an Amazon process through from the customer perspective, what do they need? How can we provide it? How can we do it better and make it easier? You know what? To get this product, they've got to click this, they've got to click this, then they've got to click this button and enter that. Let's make it super simple for them. They've already got an account. We're just going to click a button to make the process easy and simple for the customer.
And every single purchase, all billion items that they sell this year are going to go through the exact same process. Jeff Bezos isn't standing on the floor saying, "Okay, let's package that one, pull that one, and put it in." It's all pre-planned, so he can step out and hire someone in to do it next.
But the interesting thing is that the original process of click on this, then click that, then click this one and this one, that was the process that they came up with at first because it's what made sense. But because they had a process, it allowed them to analyze it and say, you know what, I think there's a better way. Right? So by nature of having the process, it's also going to allow you to hone in the quality of the presentation of what you're giving to the client.
And as you're adding in employees and getting bigger, you're always tinkering. We have different processes today than we did 10 years ago. And that's because...
Well, it's like our CEA, our client engagement agreement, that started as one thing, and it has constantly updated and changed and honed in to better explain the customer experience.
So before we move on to the third, we started with proper office, and then we went into having processes.
Right.
Before we go to the third one, this is the basis of the ProServe software, and this is kind of where the software came from. Is we had all these processes, and honestly, this is what sets our software apart from every other software out there. For Builder Trend's great, Job Progress isn't, but they're all they all have their tools,
niches, right?
But they're all tools for contractors. They're tools to use to do your job. And where our software is different is it is a process with tools in it. So it takes the job, runs through statuses, it goes through, you dispatch to your work orders to your crews, but as the boss, I can see what's going on at a glance at every single job. It's built around building a process. And so we give this to our contractors that are using the software to put their processes in and use this as their basis. So we've given you a shortcut, right? You're running a triathlon, and we're already doing the first two activities for you.
It's already pre-created process.
Yes, and then we say, hey, come to one of our quarterly events, which we have one February 17th and 18th. We have another one in a couple months, but come to that, and we will show you behind the curtains of our general contracting companies that's fairly well developed processes. We'll show you that. And let's look at ours. Let's look at yours. Why don't we implement this into your processes and meet you where you're at to grow your company?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's what we're talking about today is what guys need to start doing to get their company to the next level, even though they're not there yet. And what ProServe Alliance is all about and what we've built is saying, we've got all that structure for you. Come take it as you need it, and let us help you take bite-sized pieces of it.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of a shameless plug, but we'd love to have you at one of these events. We'll let you come the first time for free if money's an issue. Like I think it's $150 to come.
Right.
We don't, for us, come taste it, come see it, see if it is success. If you do not if you think it's not worth it, we
If
will
you don't
give
get anything out of it,
we will pay for your hotel and give you your money back because I know that you're going to get stuff out of it. And if that's all you get out of it and you want to go on your merry way, no problem. We'll shake your hand if you don't see value here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my shameless plug of it. But
but
whole
it's so
reason,
true. It goes right along with it. For
yeah,
sure.
it's like we will show you exactly what you have to do, and then we'll get you started on taking bite-sized pieces of it. That's it. There's no other sitting down and figuring out how to write a process out. There's no figuring out that. We've got our front office process. We've got our HR process. We've got our project management process. We've got our leadership and growth process. And right. And so our processes are, as you grow, we introduce those to you because you don't need an HR process when you're a one-man show. You don't need to know how to hire people when you're a one-man show. But you will, once you get your other processes down, you need to learn because you're about to hire because you're growing with those other processes. So anyway, so those are the first two. Having your office in line, which our software does very well, and we teach that, and we show how to do that, and the minimum you need to be doing in financial management,
right,
and
directly
as well as
interacts with QuickBooks and autofill stuff, so you're not you're not having to do all
the
of
software
that
does. The software interacts with QuickBooks and dumps it all in there for your accountant to have. So that's the first thing. The second thing are processes, which we will give you literally step-by-step process that we use, and then we help you tinker with it and make your own.
Right.
The third thing, Jared, is presentation. What does that mean?
I think presentation is it really feels like a combo of the outcome of the first two.
Yeah.
If my finances are in order and I'm able to make correct decisions and see where I'm spending, overspending, am I charging too little, am I charging too much, all of that stuff. And I've also got written out processes. It is delivering a presentation to the client. I think one of the most important things that we talk about is that when we're coaching our Alliance members, we're teaching them that your stance needs to change from I am the contractor here to extract money from you to deliver what you want, and moving into I'm here with you to deliver this product, and I want to give you a great experience.
I'm the representation for the client to get this job done.
Yeah. And the reality that quality, there are varying levels of quality that, you can charge different amounts and whatever, but the reality is that within a circle of where you are, there's 1,000 other people delivering a relatively close quality to what you can do. There are some people that might have a very specific niche that nobody else can do, and those are unique. But for the most part, there's a bunch of people out there that can paint a wall and install cabinets and put a countertop in and a new sink in a kitchen just as well as you can. What sets you apart and the thing that clients talk about after the fact is the experience of it, the presentation of how we present this stuff to the client and how we set this up.
Yep. And that the whole title of this podcast is to be successful, you have to act successful, right? And so that doesn't mean go buy a $90,000 truck and look like you're successful and present like you've got a ton of money. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're saying don't show up to your client's house looking with a torn shirt and paint all over your pants. Don't show up to a client's house with handwritten estimates. Right. Present like you want to present in 5 years from now. Look like a company that is successful and have that mindset that that's what I'm going to be. So use a software, right? You don't need one right now. You're using your brain. Use a software to deliver the estimates in an organized fashion that you can quickly write up your estimates, send it out to them. Once it's approved, I can send my work orders to my crews. I'm presenting like I'm a successful company. Yeah. Because that's how I grow into being a successful company.
Well, and as part of that being a part of the experience that the client gets, the experience dictates trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things we found out a long time ago, regardless if I know the information or not, if I'm educated on an LVL or not, or whatever, if I've got a shirt on with my logo, the client defaults to I'm the expert.
Yep.
And so that's a part of the presentation. Have some good quality shirts on. If you're the guy who's going to be dealing with them on a regular basis, pay the money and get some collared shirts where you look professional. Nowadays, get yourself some little covers for your shoes so you're not tracking stuff into their house. Kind of professionalism stuff dictates trust.
Yeah.
And those are the thing. That's the thing that can take you over the edge of another business that came in and estimated the same job, relatively same price. That feeling of trust of this person because they used a software that was professional, they communicated well, they showed up on time, they were dressed professionally. All of those things are the beginning piece of telling that story of the experience.
Yep.
That the client is looking, I don't want to have a bad experience. And this guy presents really well that this is going to be a good experience.
I would say our number one thing as our general contracting company's number one thing that presents like a very successful company to a client. All of the stuff we both just said is part of it. But the number one thing
is a beard.
Is a beard and a bald head.
Yeah,
no. The number one thing that shows that we're professional and we have client buy-in with trust is when we're getting ready to either sign a contract or they're considering using us. And you mentioned it earlier, a client engagement agreement.
Yeah.
And that's not just a document that the lawyer wrote up for them to sign. That is where we sit them down in our office, or you can go to their house if you don't have an office, and you say, this is my process of how my renovations go. You are a homeowner. You've watched HGTV and have an assumption of how this happens. Let me set your expectations and get you comfortable with saying yes to me because you understand exactly what the next 3 months are going to look like for your life.
I would say 99% of issues and loss of money on jobs is due to misunderstood expectations.
Yes, and that's another 3 podcasts that we can do about how to set those expectations. We've done some and we will do some. And doing that is saving you money, but presenting to the client like these guys know what they're talking about. Yeah. I feel comfortable saying yes because I understand who these people are. Yeah. I understand when they're going to communicate. I understand how they're going to communicate. I understand how they want their payments. I understand when they're going to be visiting my job site. I understand when they're not. I understand I can't call them on the weekends. Right. I understand why they're not answering on Sunday. I understand all of that stuff is explained to them to where they sit down and they're like, this company gets it. And you don't have to have a big office. That it's helpful when they come in and see everybody here and go sit in the conference. That's great.
It's not needed.
No, do it at the kitchen table at their house. Meet them at Starbucks. Whatever you're doing, present professionally and present to them, this is how we operate. We've got our crap together. We know what we're doing, and let me show you what you're going to experience over the next 3 months. If you can do that, you're presenting to the client, I do this all the time. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to be scratching my head, taking your deposit, and running with it. So that I think is part of the presentation. From first contact, my website looks good. I answered the phone when they called. I called them back within a few hours, if not 24 hours at the max. Right, all of that stuff that we have part of our process. Most of it is presentation, especially for the front 50% of our process. Right. It's how does the client view us? How do we present to them? And it doesn't take money. It doesn't take 16 years in the business of growing a company. It doesn't take any of that to present well. Right. It takes zero and anything except for effort. And so it's having a plan and having effort to put that plan in place. My plan is, this is how I present. I wear these clothes when I show up. I give an estimate back at this many hours, 24, 48 hours after I visit on site. And I have a process of how I'm going to introduce them to my company and to the job site.
One of the other things in that, I'm going to tell a little story about myself. So I umpired baseball many years ago. And one of the things that my dad taught me was that every time you show up, your shoes are shined, your clothes are ironed, and you look professional. And by nature of doing that, you will end up getting benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
If my shoes were all scuffed up and all wrinkled clothes and all the different stuff, and I happened to make a bad call, which I never did,
Yeah.
I would not get benefit of the doubt because I already look like a buffoon.
Yep.
Right? But if I showed up pressed and looking well and I made a mistake, I got benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And, that is exactly what this presentation looks like.
Yeah.
And I think what I really, really love about the presentation and the CEA and all of that stuff is that by nature of doing it, you're getting that benefit of a doubt, which will help mitigate some of the problems that they just happen on job sites. You're always going to have issues, but they're going to help mitigate that getting escalated to level 10,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And the other byproduct of it is, by nature of doing it, it is your marketing technique.
Yes.
It is the thing that people talk about
Yep.
that bring you word of mouth referrals.
Yep. And the way that we do it also, that we share with every Alliance member as they grow in their own building of their company, is when you're doing the client engagement and you're setting their expectations, you're lowering some of their expectations. You're not having to deliver on as much. You're saying, I'm not going to be at your job every day. I'm going to be there 2 days a week on Mondays, and we'll sometime during the week, depending if I'm starting crew. Sometimes I'll be there 3 or 4 times if I'm starting or finishing and doing walks. But this is when I'm going to be there, and if I'm not there, it's okay. And this is why. And this is what you do if you need to get in contact with me. Before that, they thought I was going to be there every single day, every single minute that my crew was there.
Right.
And so I'm lowering that expectation to where I don't have to be there, and I don't have to try and meet that to get their money, because there's so many times that someone expects something, and now we have to do it just to be able to finish this job out. I've got to go there.
I've got to have the client happy.
She wants me there every single day, and honestly, we just got to get this check, and we're 3 weeks away from being done. So I'm just going to pop in every morning, and just so she knows that I'm there. No, we don't do that. Right. We are already set those expectations. So it's saving you time, effort, and money and reputation in the long run. And double-edged sword, in a positive way, the front end is you're looking professional. You look like you know what you're talking about and making them comfortable. So it's a win-win for doing this part of the process. Why I'm so passionate about it, because it's so important. It's really is what made us who we are today as a general contracting company.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think rolling this to a close, I think that contractors listening to this are gonna say, yeah, great, processes, presentation, finances, all that stuff, great. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Go back to our last podcast.
Yeah, go back to the last podcast, because we definitely do a time management podcast. But what I would say is, if you're a one-man show, or you're running multiple jobs, you're not swinging a hammer, or maybe you are swinging a hammer, and your desire is to grow and be a successful company, the 10% rule should be in effect. If you're spending around 40 hours a week on a regular basis, and probably more than that, you should be spending around 10% of that for active growth in your company. Yep. If you can't spend 4 hours a week working on these type of things, that's okay.
Yeah.
I understand, I get it, but if you're not allocating time aside to be working on these things and acting like a successful company so that you can become the successful company you want, you're never going to get there.
But Jared, when you say working on active growth in those 4 hours, what does that mean?
Right. Well, then you need the growth path checklist, which is a 200 plus line item based on different stages of, are you a one-man show? All on org charts of where are you in the status of your business. Do you have one project manager? Are you by yourself? Whatever it is, and it is a step-by-step process of the basis of what you need to set up to start your growth.
Yep.
And then how do you move from this place to that place? Yep. How do you move from you to a project manager?
Yep.
How do you move to a place where I'm no longer on job sites and I've got guys that I'm managing? We have a step-by-step process so that when you sit down and you've allocated, I can only afford an hour a week, you don't sit down and go, okay, great, I'm here.
What do I do now?
Right? Yep. It helps guide exactly what you need to be doing right now. I don't need to be working on an employee manual if I'm not ready to hire yet. I'm not in that place.
Well, if I haven't gotten past tying materials to jobs.
Right.
I need to do that before I start working on
I
that.
can't
right?
hire a guy if I don't have my finances in order.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the money to hire them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the other cool part about that, the growth path worksheet that we have is you got 4 levels of a company. You got
Right.
the one-man show all the way up to multi-city franchising and whatever. And so what you just said, 10% is the goal to be spending when you're in level 1.
Right.
If you won't be there day 1,
No.
but by the time you're about to enter level 2, you need to check the box that I'm spending at least 4 hours, right? And so in level 2, we up it. It's not 4 hours, and we go through it. So the whole key is I'm checking these boxes as I grow, and I've got to be able to check all of these before I make my first hire, which is level 2.
Yeah.
And for level 2, the first hire through and we go through it. There's more asked of you in each of these, right? There's a small amount of office work you need to do in level 1, but the basis that you have to do is kind of what we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. Level 2, there's a little more you need to be doing to start organizing when you have an employee and
Right.
payroll and other things. So we break it all down for you. If you're an alliance partner, you get that part of our partnership is we walk you through that and you can check in on that list. So
Yeah.
very, very cool thing that we love doing with our partners. But we offer just software. If you want to download and use our software and implement the software and the systems that come with the software into your company, you can just do that. If you want to upgrade and do an alliance partnership, we do that, as well as our guided tour with all of our live events. And then there's also the executive partnership, which is where we come in and implement everything. It's a company in a
Job
box
roles and all the
where
different stuff,
we Jared and I actually personally work with you in growing your company, accountability, what's next, game planning. It's like you get a CEO level member to your team, and so that's kind of our 3 different levels.
ProServeAlliance.com. You can go find all that information. You can sign up on your own. You can contact us. You can watch content, whatever you want. It's all out there for you to find and sign up.
That's it. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
See you then.
Bye.